All right, I am rolling. I am with Mordecai Williams Jr., president, founder, Strong Arm Sports. Look at this bullshit.
Look at that, huh?
This is what
Looks
I
good
do.
on you, Rich. Looks good on you.
Look at this. I'm in your face.
It looks good, my friend.
I don't play that shit.
I know you don't.
Oh, man. You are harder to get a hold of than Trump.
Yeah, okay.
To schedule you in a meeting to get you
Okay.
on here, which is something I want to bring up.
Good deal.
You know I can impersonate you. I impersonate you all the time behind your back, man.
Is that right?
I do. I'll be like, hey, man, I'm gonna do this podcast with you. I'm gonna kind of do like a Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr.
Absolutely.
I'm down with the throwback. We'll just get our groove on, and we'll take it from there, baby.
That's how I do it.
I know how you do it.
All right.
Okay, a lot of times when I do these podcasts, I kind of start off from the beginning and talk about how you ended up, building Strong Arm Sports. And I've known you almost 2 decades now. So I've seen the transition, not from the very beginning, but I've seen what you've gone through over the years, right?
Right.
But in this case, because a lot of people have no idea really, you're kind of old school, let's put it that way. You have a brand where you truly, I don't think, want to always be the face of the brand. You want the brand to be the face of the brand. There's you, but you don't get caught up with always like going over the top with social media. You don't put up a ton of videos. You have your own presence on social media, which is more or less you showing photos of yourself, but you're not. It's like Strong Arm Sports is known for this, right?
Exactly.
Right? It's not about you. You're kind of old school with that. Even if I go, which I got to go to the glasses here. Where did I put them? If we go to your website, Strong Arm Sports, and you hit about us, it says, welcome. If you're serious, the Strong Arm Sports brand is committed to outfit and present you the athlete, the sport. When you are seen on the scene, the world will know.
Yes.
That's what it's about for you.
Yes. Yes, it is. When I started, I actually had the idea back in 1999.
Okay.
And I just played around with it for a while. And so, I got a couple of shirts done here and there just to see how people would respond to the brand. Asked the questions, I didn't tell them anything, And so I got some really good responses out of it. So I continued with it. I went ahead, got trademarked, the whole 9 yards. And I just slowly but surely went ahead and started making my moves. Now, by the time I ran into you, that's when I started going to another level.
Right.
Then, after I had made a move and left, there are some things that happened where I had to put everything on hold.
Sure.
And, because, Rich, because I'm the only one funding this, Strong Arm Sports. I'm the only one funding it. I've had opportunities to go ahead and have investors, but I've seen the way a lot of investors work, and I'm not trying to have anybody breathe down my back. I have fun with this, and I just while I'm having fun, I just let it take its course. And just like you said, I don't put my face really up front. This is the first time that I'm actually really showing my face a lot. I think I got one picture of me on Instagram on all those pictures that are on there, Yeah. And a lot of times some people just pass it up, or people who really don't know me but follow me don't even know that's me behind the scene. So, and even when I do go out and do shows, a lot of people don't even know I'm really the man behind the whole thing. They think I'm just somebody that's hired behind the booth. But I don't say anything, Let's say if they ask, then I go ahead and talk about it, Then a lot of times when they want to know a little bit about it, and when I go through the whole spiel like I'm doing right now, then they go, are you the man behind all this? Because I've got everything down, But when I decided to come back with it, which was 2015, I wanted to slowly get back into it. And so I really wasn't big into the social media, then. Actually, I really getting hooked onto it until I got onto it, but 2017 is when I really started pumping it out. And
Sure.
I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to go ahead and get in and do some more shows, and actually start doing a lot of world shows that, certain events that come to the United States when you're dealing with like anywhere from 45 to like 65 countries.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big boost for me right away, because a lot of these folks who were coming from other countries, they wanted to buy it all up. I'm
Really?
glad they liked it. They wanted to
Yeah.
buy it all up and take it back home. So next thing I'm all over Instagram, whether it be in Germany, whether it be in the UK, whether it be in Japan, whether it be, let's go to Taiwan. It's been good. It's been real good.
How did you come up with the name Strong Arm Sports, and how did you come up with that logo?
Okay, so it was funny. I'll never forget this. For some reason, I was out somewhere, and for some odd reason, sometimes our minds just start to roll when you start to see some things,
Sure.
So I see this sports brand, I see that sports brand, these sports brands, and I go, I wonder what some of those mean,
Sure.
So I started doing my homework. Just I said, what does this mean? What does that mean? For these certain brands. And so I looked them up. I'm like, that's what that means? I go,
Right.
well, nobody even knows that means that. They just look at it because it's the everyday thing they see
Sure.
in the in the sporting goods stores. So they just buy it. So with that being said, I said, if I were to come up with something, a brand, I need to come up with something where someone could see it right off the bat and go, bam, that's me. That's me. That represents strength. And I said, what could I come up with? So wheels started turning. Strong arm came up. And first it was just strong arm. And then I said to myself, I don't know, man, just strong arm, that can go in so many different directions. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And that's when I added sports, because every sport is a strength sport. As you know, every sport is a strength sport.
Absolutely.
So when I added sports, that worked with everybody. So with that being said, then that's when I went out and I started playing with it a little bit, whether it had been ladies field hockey, of course, football would jump right on it, powerlifting, the whole 9 yards. So, and the ladies, which was so cool, is that the ladies actually, when I spoke with them, women in sports, that's the first thing they said was, excuse me 1 second, sorry about that. That's the first thing they said was, is that, hey, this represents strength. And so when I got that win from the ladies in sports, I gotta run with this. This is good. And that's when I made my banners, like when I went to the Arnold Schwarzenegger Sports Festival, strong arm sports, every sport is a strength sport. That's not my main slogan. My main slogan is, if you're serious.
Yeah.
And that just connected with everybody. It just connected with everyone.
Yeah. And when so we had a mutual friend, and I was trying my own clothing line, Sore Loser Wear. You kind of started to become a mentor to me. And that's kind of how I ended up starting to hang out with you, right? We were doing shows together. But you don't realize when you want to start your own clothing line, how much hard work it is. I think so many people think about doing it and what it takes to actually get that accomplished and to market it, have people spend money on your brand. Now, you have an interesting story, because if I'm not mistaken, one of your moments that helped you out, was it with Hector Macho Camacho, I think you said, or something years ago, when he put your shirt on? He ended up wearing one of your shirts publicly or after a fight, right? And that kind of started the whole ball rolling a little bit for
that was the beginning. That was the beginning. He was down in Miami, and he was doing this conference. So I was in Miami, and at that time, I always carried just little shirts with me, just to get responses.
Sure.
And I said, man, I got to find my way to get into this, to go meet Hector Camacho. So what had happened is I had gone up, and here's this guy at the door. Gosh, Rich, this guy must have been about 6'7", like 390 at the front door. He was making sure nobody was getting in, right? And so I walked up from who I was and who I said Strong Arm Sports. Come on, no one's even had an inkling who Strong Arm Sports was then.
No, and this is like what, 2000?
But when I said Strong Arm Sports, No, this was maybe 2000. Yeah, 2000, because I was still, I was still in the works with everything.
Sure.
And so the doorman just looked at me and he goes, yes, 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 Strong Arm Sports, come on in. I went, what? I go, man, I guess the name alone just, made this guy, he let me through.
Right.
And so that's when I weaseled my way around and I saw Hector Camacho, he was feeding his face, with some bagels and all. And I called him over and he came over, he made his little wisecrack jokes and stuff. So, all that stuff. And I tossed him a shirt and he looked at it. He said, hey, man, I can rock this. And right then and there, he put it on. He had all the media come around him. And at that time, when I did that, whoa, because you're not prepared for something like that to happen. And when it happened, I was like, man, how can I get that footage of this,
Sure.
They didn't get it to me, but it's okay, though.
Right.
But the point is that that helped me out a lot. When I saw that and that he liked that, that had me go to the next level and really start kicking it in. So yeah, that was the beginning of that, and that was a heck of a push for me right there.
Yeah, and I used to see Hector. We used to go to the same bank, and then he also used to eat at Stefano's restaurant, the Chacheria, I think, off of Loma sometimes. So I would see him.
Oh, okay.
And he was a really cool guy. I mean, that guy was super. He had that openness, personality. He was dynamic. He wasn't caught up where, like, a lot of arrogance, like, you got to pay me to wear this. None of that.
No.
He was just one of those cool guys. A lot of people, I think, with strong arm sports related to bodybuilding, powerlifting, they don't realize how many other sports you're kind of involved with, right?
Right. True. Let's see. Oh, goodness. I deal with lacrosse.
Right.
Sport lacrosse, amateur wrestling, wrestling entertainment, the guys that were on TV, wrestling, I have great stories for that. Those guys have been like nothing but a huge plus to me, wearing my product. And that was, I was lucky enough to know a couple of guys who always got me backstage. And plus, not only that, it helps out too when you're giving and you're not trying to take from them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're giving and you're hoping to get a good response, and they do like it, but you're not asking for anything else. And because, those guys in a light like that, there are always people who want from them,
Yeah.
And so, and that's how I was able to go ahead and gain a pretty good friendship with some of those guys there. Sports that I dealt with, and like soccer, I dealt with women's soccer, and the young lady's parents that I knew, her parents was like, well, I connect with it and I play soccer, so I think you're going to do well. So she put the pressure on me.
Sure.
So I came up with these design shirts, all these different colors, just for that show, just for that event,
Gotcha.
the competition out there. And Rich, let me tell you, man, I blew the roof off, man. I couldn't believe it, man. I couldn't believe it. So yeah. So there's a whole line of different sports that I deal with because, like I said before, every sport is a strength sport. So there's a connection already, and for what I had was going to be something that was set aside away from all the other sports brands where anybody could look at that and say, that's me. And that's why I created it.
Yeah, and I think truthfully, you're downplaying. You had some really famous wrestlers, football players, hockey players that used to love your brand, right? I mean, you've been in Sports Illustrated. You used to be on ESPN. You've been all over the place.
Yes. That was huge for me. Oh my gosh. People like Dana Stubblefield and Dan Wilkinson, both played for the Redskins.
Sure.
And it was free advertising for me because these guys weren't, a lot of these guys, they pretty much knew I was up and coming, because I didn't show up in a suit, wanting to sit down and talk business, because
Sure.
Once they see that, first thing they're going to look at is, hey, this guy wants to go ahead and set up a deal. He wants to set up some type of a deal with us to work. And so,
Sure.
And they knew I wasn't about that. So, but they were willing, and they did, and they worked. And it was really, really cool, man, that I didn't expect, whether it been football, whether it been wrestling, the whole 9 yards. Even some guys who did sports announcing,
Sure.
I ran into a couple of those guys, and it was so cool, man, because once they got it and they traveled around and were wearing, and other athletes were asking about it, it all goes in line, that's simple advertising. You know what I mean? It's simple advertising, and it can work. It can really, really work. So, but that's what I do. Yeah. So, and it's like I said, it's not necessarily just the pro athletes out there, because times have changed. Back in the 80s and 90s and maybe early 2000s, somebody sees a pro athlete wearing something, oh my God, I gotta have it.
Yeah.
Nowadays, a pro athlete you wear, nobody's even, they're just kind of like shrugging their shoulders, like whatever. Right. So my thing is that it's great to have the pro athletes or someone famous wear it, but when you get it on the backs to that weekend warrior, that everyday athlete, that's just a whole nother ball game, man.
Right.
It really is. To me, it is. It really is. So.
Yeah, and you used to do, it seemed like, because I used to be a 3X, I think. Even when I knew you, I was heavier. But you used to be a sport, I mean, or we're kind of dating ourselves, but you were doing, like, you had big and tall for a lot of sportswear stuff back then. You were doing 3X, 4X, 5X for big dudes.
Right.
And I think that was a big plus for you, because I don't think a lot of people, when they start a clothing line, think about the big guy, right? A lot of times they don't want to spend the money on the bigger. I mean, it costs more money usually material-wise.
Right.
But you kind of look like you were smart and focused in on not just, small, medium, large, XL.
Right.
You were like 2, 3, 4, 5X.
Right. Absolutely. Because, just here in the United States alone, I mean, my gosh, look at the National Football League. Yeah. Look at the guys that play the front line. There's a lot of them, Yeah. And it's and then those who don't even play football, it's just that they're out there and they can't find the big and tall shirts. They can't go to a sporting goods store and find the big and tall shirts. They go with what they can. I've seen some guys, who are, 6'7" and wearing a regular standard shirt, and you could tell that he's wishing that there was more material at the bottom of that shirt.
Of course.
And so, I've gotten in contact with several guys in the sports arena who were big and tall. And, I always I'll throw them something and they're like, this is real. And then that's when they come back and they do their duty, and go ahead and buy bundles of them. So yeah, absolutely. It's tough for them to find it, especially with something decorated on the shirt at that. A lot of them will find it with nothing on there,
Right. Of course.
And so when they see that, it's a plus for them.
Or it's cheesy. You know what I mean? It kind of looks bullshitty.
Yeah, or it's cheesy. Exactly.
It's like a phony sports.
Exactly. And you know what? That's funny. It's another thing. I'm sorry?
I was going to say like a big and tall or something, or, any of those type of stores.
Right.
The ones at Sears or wherever.
Right.
It doesn't look
exactly
like something that's like really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and that's another thing too, Rich, is anything that I create, any design that I create that co-brands with Strong Arm Sports,
right.
I definitely make it a point where it's not cheesy, because it's about representing that person. I'm representing, you're representing my brand. So if you're walking through the airport and you got a cool design on there, a Strongman Sports Rugby, and it's got a nice slogan on it for, you want people to look at you and go, whoa, man, this guy or this girl here, they play rugby, you know, and not something where they look at and start laughing at you. You know what I mean? There are good shirts out there to laugh at, but, I'm hoping that I don't get laughed at. I don't want this person to be laughed at. You want to be taken seriously as an athlete, whether you're a pro, whether you're college, whether you're high school, whether you're, or just the weekend warrior, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Or somebody just love that sport. So that's what I do, and that's what I create. So,
and I also think a lot of people, you're known for shirts and hats, but you do shorts. You do it all, really.
Yes, I do. Rich, there are a lot of items that I have that I don't have on the website because of, there are so many different manufacturers now where their size cutting is just so different.
Right.
You can get away a lot more with t-shirts and shorts, right?
Exactly.
But like for the ladies, yeah, you know what I mean? So the ladies tank tops or ladies wear. So most of the time I'll sell those at shows.
Sure.
Or yeah, you know what I mean? Because it's
Of
a lot
course.
tougher online. Yeah, you
Yeah,
know
of
what I mean?
course.
So yeah, you know, so it's all there. Just unfortunately that, you know, a lot of times I have to, you know, be seen at the show with this gear.
Yeah. And, you know, let's go, when you were on ESPN, were you doing commercials with them? How was that working out? Because
No, what
tell me a
happened?
little bit about that, how you ended up on
Okay,
ESPN.
actually, Rich, this is something that I had got into, which I think I got into too soon
Mm,
when I got with that.
gotcha. So you were doing
I wasn't ready,
commercials?
but the opportunity, I took the. Oh, was that?
Were you
Yeah.
doing what commercials?
So,
I think it was during hockey, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah,
Or
it was during the Washington Capitals Pittsburgh Penguins
gotcha.
playoffs, and I had a great opportunity to work with a certain station in Washington D.C.
Sure.
who was covering those games,
Mm-hmm.
and oh my gosh, they did such a great job. But at that time, when my website was getting revamped,
Yeah.
it was supposed to be ready before that.
Yeah.
And the person that I had working on it, I could never get a hold of them.
Mm,
And so the whole time through the playoffs, I had no website and no one could get to it. And it was, I mean, the things they put together for me was just incredible.
right.
And so it's lessons learned, you know what I mean? Through this,
Sure.
lessons learned. And I tell you, would I do it again on getting with certain sports stations or ESPN? Yeah, I would do it again if the time would come, you know, because I'm more than ready now. You know, I'm way
Right.
more than ready. So, but yeah, so that was a good thing that went on at that time. But I jumped a little too soon because it just sounded too good to be true, especially for what they offered me, you know,
Right.
and they really made it look good. I mean, they had the front desk with this it looked like a big brass Strong Arm Sports logo on the front.
Yeah.
You know, it was incredible, man.
Yeah. And if you go back to the early
When,
2000s, it
you
was a
know,
different time and place.
right.
Right, with
Yeah.
websites and people finding people that would create them and having issues with web developers. It's not like now where you
Right.
can almost build your own overnight practically.
Exactly. You said that right. So that's very true. Yeah, it's a whole nother ball game now. So,
Yeah.
which is huge. I still, you know, dealing with web developers and a lot of the people on the back creative end. You know, it's like you have to give them pep talks every time. You know, it's like come on, you're 2 days late. I really need this. I know you can do this. I know you've been doing other things, you know, and so if it works, that's what you got to do, folks. You got to give them a pep talk, because if you act like you're mad at them and all pissy, believe me, they're going to take another 3 days to get it done. So it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. And so I want to touch base on this a little bit. When you started, really, the internet was there, but it wasn't as saturated as now, obviously, right? So you were creating your own clothing line,
Right.
independently, kind of old school, where you literally would go to event to event. You'd set up booths, meet the people face to face, one-on-one, also meet with the athletes, right? I mean, you were really involved with that.
Right.
Now it seems like a lot of people are creating clothing lines of all different sorts and mainly just doing it online. And you do that online as well.
Right.
What do you like, if you had it, how would I put this? It's hard either way, because when you were doing it, it was hard to break in because it was really just major brands that got into those shows, right? But at the same time,
Right.
there weren't as many. It's kind of like movies, let's say. Before, it was a lot harder to make a movie, right? Now, a lot of people can make a movie, but at the same time, so many more movies are out, less people are watching those movies because it's saturated, right, to a certain degree.
Right.
How are you kind of balancing that? Because now you still are an original brand, and now you have thousands of people thinking they could create a clothing line, especially a sporting clothing line, online. You don't even know if they're fake or real. They may have a lot more money behind them than you, possibly more connections. How are you competing with that? I mean, let's exclude Nike, Adidas, Puma, and all the major brands. How are you competing with them now?
Absolutely. Well, ones who separates themselves for those who are in the same line as I am, who look at that as a competition. And what I mean by that is, for example, I was at a show in Texas, and I was a new kid on the block for this particular show. So there was maybe 4 or 5 other vendors there. So when I showed up and I started a setup, I could see them looking over. I could see them staring, talking amongst themselves, and they pretty much had it in for being there so many times.
Sure.
So there were a lot of other athletes who knew who they were, so on and so forth. So I had to look at it as, you know what? I can't look at this as competition. People are going to buy what they want to buy.
Right.
That's the bottom line.
Absolutely.
It's just up to me. Yeah, exactly. So it's just up to me to go ahead and, first of all, just hope that when they see the brand, they're gonna jump. They're gonna see. They're gonna understand. They're gonna love it. And then after that, of course, me being the man behind the brand, I have to know how to communicate with the people, especially when they show up. So, so with that being said, after I started getting everything set up, and I hate telling the story, but after I got after I got all this set up, and I actually had 2 workers that were with me that the vice president of the competition actually assigned to me, and they're really good workers with me. And so they kept wanting to let the banner down. I said, no, not yet. Don't let the banner down yet. We're going to set up right. They're all excited about it. Not yet. Let's let more people get in. So, so as time went on, I said, okay, pull the pins, let the banner roll, because most of the people were on the far end, and I was kind of towards, not the back, but to the point where if you just turned and looked, you could see that was all mine back there. So the banners went down, and it was almost scary to see. It was almost scary to see that many people turn around and just stare at the banner and go, "Whoa, what's that?" It was exciting, but it was scary because I was kind of like, "Oh man, I got to be ready now. I really got to be ready." So, and it was good. I was blessed that everybody came. They saw it. They liked everything that they saw. On the table.
Sure.
I explained to them, what it was all about, the whole 9 yards. Some people didn't even want to hear it; they just liked it, which was good too. But so, with that being said, with all that goodness going on, some of those vendors were highly upset. And I was told that, well, why didn't you tell us you're bringing extra competition in here? You see what I'm saying? So I couldn't think of it like that. They thought of it like that. And so I just knew what I had to do. Sure. They were worried about what they needed to do to try to outdo me.
Sure.
And that's where they slipped. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's where they slipped. Where they should have just gone ahead and took care of their business and just be the people who they were, but they were so worried about me. And I wasn't worried about them at all. That's how I looked at it. Is people are going to buy what they want to buy. You got to do your duty. And I've been lucky. I've been lucky on just about all my shows. There's been 1 or 2 shows where it was kind of slow, but I still made out okay. But the rest, I've been real lucky. I've gotten out to come out on top. So that's the deal, man. Yeah, I don't worry about the competition, if you want to call it that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people who want to start their own clothing line, because I kind of went through it. And what I don't think they realize is, for someone to wear your brand and pay for it, it's different if you give something for free and say, here, wear it. Right. Yeah, if you're friends or you like the brand, you'll wear it. But it is so hard for someone to come, pull their wallet out, spend money on a different style brand that they're not used to spending. So you have a go-to because you're kind of programmed as a kid. I'm from Chicago. It was Nike, right? You may be from New York. it's Adidas. I'm just using for examples. You could be
Right.
from Italy and maybe go Puma. Whatever it is, whatever brand. If you play tennis, you may have whatever brand you like. If you played soccer, you'd go after that brand. If you played football, you were attached to this brand. For someone like you, an outsider, to come in and say, listen, guys, I'm going at this a different way. It's more or less not about, if it's Nike running, you're like, no, this is about strength. But, right, that's kind of your pitch.
Right.
But a lot of people think I'm going to create something and they're just going to automatically buy it. And it's also so different because you're wearing it. It becomes a part of who you are for that day, that entire day. It's not like saying I created a water and I put my name on it and you drink it and you throw it out. No one gives a shit, right? It's just,
right.
It's clothing. It's our armor. It represents who we are at that moment, how we feel, how we think. And it's not, I think people just think, especially with t-shirts or certain brands, caps, you can just create it and everybody's going to wear it because you think it's a catchy name, right? It could be whatever name. It's like, no one ever created this name. It's awesome. It could be this or that. To really learn how to master that and get into people's pockets where you can survive financially and they love the brand again. And it's almost like sometimes, you know it as well as I do, when you buy another brand, not that you're cheating, but you're also like, hey, I got Nike shorts, Nike shoes. Now I'm wearing strong arm shirt. It's not an easy sell sometimes.
Right. Exactly. No, I hear what you're saying. And it's true. You've seen it. Nike shorts and an Adidas shirt and Asics tennis shoes,
Yeah.
So I'm still different, if you want to say.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I'm still different. People, there are folks who say, "Wow, man, you're really out there running through other countries," but I'm still, I'm still smaller and I'm still different. So, and that's what I think what catches the world's eye is something that's different and something that will spark out to them. Like I said earlier, when we were talking, there are a lot of folks who don't know what a lot of these brands, what it really means,
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, so here, I help them to see what it means. They know right off the bat when they see it, So like, some people will say, well, what is strong arm sports? And so if I say, well, it represents strength, and I had to back up because people are like, well, I know it's that, but I mean, so is it a brand for clothing? So if some people caught me off guard, so I'm still new. I'm still new, and no matter how much work I'm doing with it,
you're always learning.
Absolutely. So it's a good.
I remember a conversation me and you had, because I remember when I was doing mine, and then I had I wanted to do extreme sports because I thought that'd be a cool niche market for me. Sore loser, someone, you hate to lose.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if you win or lose.
Right.
Come at first. I thought the name was catchy. It was kind of the flip side of like tap out was out there. And at the beginning, people would kind of talk about tap out was like you'd quit. Kind of like sore loser. You're a loser, a quitter. No, it's actually quite the reverse.
Right. Exactly.
Losing. But I created all these different logos. I also did mainstream sports, so I came up with basketball, football. I did a hockey one, a soccer one, tennis. I was doing them all, and you're looking at them with me, and we're going through. And then I remember a discussion we had, like, you can go on forever creating different things with your logo. So you have strong arm sports. You could create a million. You could go on forever before you actually even sell any. You almost spend all this money in creating the look instead of actually learning how to find, even if it's just one shirt. I remember me and you'd be like, Rich, just find one thing that works. Like that was the advice you gave me. Like if you got your logo, just work on the logo and the slogan. See how far that goes. Because if that takes a shit, why keep investing in everything else? Not saying you can't catch something. But if you look at it, that I tell people all the time that are like, Rich, you did clothing or you've been in the garment industry, your family. I'm like, create one thing. See the response you get. And it's going to take years, not weeks, months, years.
Right. Exactly.
And with you have a logo, and a lot of times you would just put underneath football, rugby, soccer, simplify it. But your logo, this logo was kind of, the backbone to it. That's what I love about your brand. And I think that's what a lot of people don't realize. Either they create too much. It's kind of like a designer that gets obsessed with the creativity. Or
Right.
the, yeah, right. I would say that. And then you have the individuals that don't evolve, where they create one thing, say one shirt, and they're not getting the response they want and they quit. It could take time. It can also be just some small tweaks, and you never know what's going to happen. In my opinion, that's what I was learning from you. So.
Right. Rich, I don't have it online, but I dealt with some field hockey players and their coach from one of the area high schools.
Right.
And so the coach actually, her daughter actually played for the school. So I threw her this long sleeve. No, my daughter was just the logo now. And it was funny how that reversed, because now that they have the connection with field hockey and they understand and they know the brand, they're real good with wearing the brand alone without field hockey on it now. See how that reverses a little bit, because some people may not go with just the brand, but if they see a connection with their sport,
sure,
then they make a move.
Right.
Right. Exactly. So I've had that happen a lot too. So it's but I believe it or not, I focus though more now on like on my site. There's a lot more colors with the logo. Saying if you're serious on it. I have a lot of those, and because now there's so many different other things that are going on where a lot of people are just focusing just on that. You take teams of CrossFitters, teams of rock climbers, just but no, I hear what you're saying. Absolutely. And I don't know. I think you got to bring sore losers back.
That's hilarious. That's funny. Yeah, my mother, I still have all the prototypes and everything. And but one thing I was going to say too, which I thought for instance, you did some clever things, because I had my daughters were only I think they were 3 and 4 years old when they first met you. You were making hoodies for them. Do you remember that? And they wore them forever. Remember I don't know if you remember their hoodies that you used to make. You did a bunch of hoodies for the kids.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? So they would wear that to school, and everybody loved them, because there's who's this clothing sporting line for children? But you were just making them for me. And I think too, when you sometimes create a product like yourself, say t-shirts or whatever, but I think a lot of people, if you're going to create your own clothing line, again, find maybe a niche. Well, just say, for instance, you may just want to do hoodies, right? You may just want to do gloves for weightlifting. Find a niche too. Right. Again, not just somebody who just prints something on a t-shirt and says, here, can you buy this for me? I spent $10 and I want to make $10. I'll sell it to you for 20. Most likely, as that's not always going to happen. But if you can find a niche kind of product, maybe that not everybody's doing either. Along with other sports or different things like you're saying, field hockey or whatever I don't care if you go do bocce ball. You got to, how many millions of people in Italy play bocce ball, but no one's actually marketing to them. But like I said, you were creating a clothing line for children. You didn't even realize you were falling into something, not that you ever followed into it, but you never. Right? Because all of a sudden you.
I didn't. Yeah.
Right. And my kids to this day are still wearing hoodies. My daughter, Donna, started with you wearing hoodies. And then she went into Disney hoodies because she outgrew yours. And before you know it, her whole life now is both of them actually. I collect all the different university hoodies, and the other one wants to collect all the sporting hoodies. But you started them on that path at a very young age, not even knowing that.
Look at that. You know what, Rich? Just hearing that right now. When we're all done here, send me their sizes. I got some hoodies. I got some hoodies for them, Rich.
You are too gracious with sending stuff, man. Thank you for all the stuff you send me, man.
I
wear it out. Look at this thing. I've destroyed it. This thing's been everywhere all over the country. I even cleaned it. My black one's worn out. I just wear your stuff. So it's true. If you see a lot of my videos.
It's awesome, man. Hey, you know what? There's only a select few who are getting this, and I'll be sending you one. Can you see this?
Yeah, Team Strong Arms. If you're serious.
Yes.
It's dope.
Did I get that right there?
Oh yeah.
I made a couple of these. So make sure you send me a photo once I get it to you.
Oh, for sure. Of
Oh,
course
absolutely.
I was. People were making fun of me because all my workout clothes. You know, I was doing all the videos. I kept wearing your clothes. They're like, Rich, do you have any other clothes with strong arm? I said, all right, I'll switch it up. I think they thought I was like I only have 5 shirts to my name. I'm like, yeah, I got a lot of shirts, but it was kind of funny because I kept, wearing your clothes whenever I would travel, and I wanted to go in different gyms all over the country to show people who you are. Too.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, especially if you're posted on
awesome,
social
Rich.
media. Oh,
yeah.
Jesus Christ. So yeah, well, thank you for that backstory or the whole. I didn't want to a lot of times, like I said, we could have went into when you were in high school or when you were an athlete, and that's what made you want to get more involved with, and you love nutrition. I mean, you're in unbelievable shape. You've always have been.
Thank you.
I mean, you're so well respected on every level. It's not just a brand, and a lot of people say this, but you live your brand. Like it's no joke. You're not it's not like you're selling something that you're not kind of living. You know what I mean?
Right.
You work out still, I don't know how many times a week, and you've always been in incredible shape. So I think that's what really works for you, even though no one sees your ass. But when they do see you, they're like, this is a very fit gentleman who's really been through a lot to get to where you're at. We don't have to go through all the ups and downs, but I know you've had some setbacks and you have fought through them, and you just keep moving forward. And that's
that's true. You have to I'll tell anyone out there, if you want to continue with it and you have setbacks, if you want to continue with it, I always say, if you stop, that doesn't make you a failure. You did something that a lot of people just dream of. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so that would give you opportunity. If you decide to go back, you can do it. You just got to, the deal, Rich. There's a million people going to try to tell you how to do things, and they're going to assume that you don't know any better. That's why it's up to us to do our homework, stay focused, and do what we have to do. That's like, for instance, when somebody talks about a certain athlete, who's in the pros, and they say, oh, that person sucks, he's no good. Excuse me, but he's there, or she's there.
You're not.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So let's stop that right now. They're there, and whether they may not be able to last 2 or 3 years, but the point is that they actually did it, and those are some famous words from Mr. Tim Tebow himself. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I love Tebow.
Absolutely.
I love Tebow. Yeah. And no matter what I start, I always complete and I finish to the end. And even when I did the clothing line and you were there, like I was more interested in raising funding, but I also have 2 daughters. It took on so much more than I ever thought it would. Right. And I eventually always said, I do want to go back to that. But when you start something like a clothing line or something, it has to go on forever, almost, to a certain degree. It doesn't have to unless you start, but you have to keep going. Like, what do you think succeeding is? Right? In your case, is succeeding making this amount of money on it? Is succeeding getting to this level? Is it getting to this level? So in my case, I said, okay, I put as much as I could in a year. But I learned so much in that year, even dealing with you, because I'm dealing with somebody too in business, because I was all in these different businesses, the bars, nightclubs, restaurants, clothing industry. But you kind of taught me things, being able to go to shows even. And I was at different shows, but learning to start your own clothing line is just a whole nother magnitude of kind of a responsibility and hard work. And it's every day. It's every day, all night. So that was just a really interesting experience.
Yeah. It is. And number one, Rich, you know this, you got to have fun with it.
Yeah, exactly. Everything. Yeah. That's it.
If you don't have fun with it, you're going to wreck your brain. The only time you should be losing sleep is if you're excited about some ideas that came up at 2:00 in the morning. You want to write them down. You shouldn't be stressing out. You shouldn't be losing sleep. You should have fun with it. Whether you're going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, a month, or whatever, or not. The point is that you're having fun with it. If you don't have anybody, hell, don't give up your day job. You got to put your money into the product. You know what I mean? Absolutely. And just have fun with it, man. And like you said earlier, you learn. You just learn as you go, and look up things. That's what I did. before all this craziness with the internet and all that, heck, I was going to the libraries, man, in the 90s, man, late 90s, checking out things, luckily there were some good, who sent me in directions of like, uh, whether it be manufacturers or distributors or whoever I had to deal with. I got pretty lucky on that. Some people are serious assholes about that and don't want to work with anyone, you know.
Yeah, and
But you got to understand too, a lot of these people who act like that doesn't necessarily mean they're like that. They may feel like, oh, I'm going to waste time with you because you really don't seem like you want to go this route. Or they may feel like, I've been through all this before and I just don't want to deal with anybody else anymore. So a lot of people have their different reasons of not wanting to work with somebody, but it's a blessing when somebody does so.
Yeah, and the rejection side of things, people got to realize, I learned that in the film industry. All I dealt was being rejected, trying to accomplish so many things. And I realized in the garment, or actually starting your own brand, because even if I went to shows, say surf and skate show, bunch of professional skateboarders and all these people, some people love your brand. You give them, hey, I got some free shirts for you. I'll give you whatever you want.
Right.
They don't want any money. They love you. Then I would offer my shirts to other guys. They'd literally grab it and throw it in the garbage.
Yeah.
Like they don't. And that kind of, you got to learn that not your brand isn't for everybody, obviously.
Right. Right.
You get 1%. It's unbelievable. You know what I mean? 1% of athletes.
Yeah.
And that's how you got to look at it. Because most people are going to tell you your brand is shit. They're going to compare you to Nike, Adidas again, every other brand out there, Under Armour, and so on. So that's who you're competing with to a certain degree.
Right.
But no matter who it is, I don't care if you're starting any clothing line, they have their brand. So they're going to, if you like high end, they're going to compare you to Gucci, Versace. If you're mid-level, whatever, it goes on and on and on.
Exactly.
Right. So you got to figure out, how you're going to handle that rejection. And I don't think a lot, because it's very artistic. And I think people think, hey, I'm going to create this. It's going to be kick ass and everyone's going to love it. And if I give it even free, everyone's going to wear it. I'm going to tell you right now, you probably give 10 shirts out to strangers, probably 9 aren't going to wear it, right? Even for free.
You never know. That's right. That's very true.
It was a learning experience on so many different levels for me. So I appreciate you taking me on that journey, man. I'm happy we've been friends for so long. I mean,
absolutely, Rich.
Yeah. We got to go to Cuba together. I'll get stuck.
Hey, man, when all this craziness calms, man, we have to make that move, man. Don't be scared.
Yeah, Ria was up. I know you're the Cuban monster. You love Cuba. Why you love it there so much? The old cars? What's your angle over there?
Oh man, it's a beautiful country island, man. It really is. I just there's so much potential there by just looking around, what they used to have and some things that they still have, there's just so much potential there. And you just hope that, maybe one day, the big wigs will finally get together and say, hey, we're all going to work together. We're all going to make things happen,
Right.
You can only hope, But other than that, though, the people, the cars are incredible. Let me tell you, people say, oh, I don't understand how they keep those cars together. Built better back in the 40s and 50s, allowed me to look underneath the hood. I was like, my gosh, you could almost swim in that hood. So open, you could fix anything in there. And it was amazing the tools that they used to fix these cars
and parts
to keep them running. So, it's a must. Huh?
I said, in the parts that they use to fix those cars besides the tools.
Oh yeah. You're just like, wow, man, you really came up with that to keep this together. I mean, some of the things they use, we're talking about household tools and products they use to keep the cars running, but it looks good on the outside. That's for sure.
Sure.
Must see. It's a must see.
All right, that's awesome. So Strong Arm Sports with the S. So many different brands out there, I should say, websites that sound almost similar to yours, but you're the real deal. I just want to.
Yes. I am the originator, not the imitator. Absolutely.
Yeah. And Yeah, and don't try to find Mordecai. You're not going to find him.
Nah, you're not gonna find me. Yeah, I'm gonna send Rich towards you all. You come looking for me.
I don't even. Should I call this the first interview with Mordecai Williams Jr. ever? That's what I'm ready to call this. All right, brother. I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you for spending time with me doing this. And I know you don't do this quite often. I hope you had some fun. I know I did, and I'm always learning from you. So great talking to you and seeing you again.
Oh yeah, man. This is cool, Rich, man. I appreciate this very, very much.
All right, brother. I will talk to you later, my friend.
Yes, indeed.
Thanks again. I'll see you soon. Let's do dinner.
Hey, I'm ready. I'm ready for it. All right, big man. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, now.